Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I am aware that it's not recommended to raise one's hands and make dua after obligatory prayer. However, is it okay to raise hands and make dua during Sunnah prayer, like the 12 rakah Sunnah or Salatul Dua?
Yani, do you mean that while I am praying Duha prayer, if I raise my head from the first sujood and I'm sitting between the two sujoods and I say, Oh Allah, ighfirli, irhamni, irzuqni, do you mean this?
No, I mean after the salam.
After
like
the
to raise
salam,
hand and make dua.
listen
Yeah.
to me. Making it a habit to raise your hands after fard salah or voluntary salah is an innovation. Making it every time is an innovation, is a bid'ah. Now, let me ask you a question, Suad. Why do you raise your hands and make dua? What do you want? Suad?
I pray for my family or myself. I pray for my health. Want to make dua for my parents and myself.
You want Allah to answer you, right?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay. If you know that Allah pledged upon himself to answer you if you're doing your dua in sujood, would you still do it after salah? Yes or no?
Yes.
No, Sheikh.
See, this is the problem. The imbecile brother who said yes, it shows that he's not even understanding what I'm saying. Allah, the Almighty, told us, and the Prophet ﷺ told us in an authentic hadith, the closest you are to Allah is when you are in sujood. The Prophet goes on to say, so make and choose whatever dua you want in sujood. So who in his right head and mind would neglect making dua in sujood as the Prophet directed us and ordered us? He says, no, I want to make dua after fard prayer, assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum, and wipe his body and washes it and showers it and puts some conditioning on his hair after every single salah. This is pathetic. The Prophet is telling you, make dua in sujood, Allah will answer you. And he said, no, thanks, not interested. So Su'ad, you want Allah to protect your family, to increase your health, to do this and that, do it in your sujood and stop everything else. Now, shouldn't we raise our hands and make dua? I didn't say that. What I said was, do not make it a habit that after every fard salah or after every voluntary salah, you raise your hand and make dua, because the Prophet never did this. However, between adhan and iqamah, the adhan is called. I said my adhkar, I did my repetition, or I repeated after the muadhin, and I said the adhkar, and then between adhan and iqamah, I can raise my hands and make dua. In the middle of the night, I wake up, I pray tahajjud, and I want to take a break of 10 minutes, I raise my hands and make dua. It's raining, not men. And I raise my hands and make dua. It is the rooster sound before Fajr, 1 hour. And I hear the rooster's voice, I make dua because it saw an angel. The Prophet said, ask Allah from His grace whenever you hear a rooster. These are the times where I raise my hand and make dua, no problem. But not after every fard prayer, not after every voluntary prayer. I hope this answers your question.
I want to know that when we make the normal dua by raising our hand, or after, like when it is raining or we are traveling, in this case, when we raise our hand for dua, what should we do after finishing our dua? Do we wipe our face or simply just put our hand down?
Now, the issue of raising your hands when it's raining or when traveling or between adhan and iqamah or in the last third of the night, this is a highly recommended sunnah, because it is one of the means that would attract more Allah Azza wa Jal's answering to your dua. So it's one of the reasons that Allah answers dua. What to do afterwards? There are ahadith, but they are not authentic. they are all weak, that you wipe your face with your hands. And the school I follow states that Allah the Almighty has protected the Quran and preserved the Sunnah. So the deen is complete and preserved. And therefore, we do not need weak hadith to be used in our religion. Because everything that is part of Islam and our religion has been preserved in the authentic fashion and form. And therefore, any hadith that is not graded as sahih or hasan is not accepted, and we do not act upon it. And therefore, wiping the face is not part of the sunnah. There are scholars who considered it to be an innovation. And they used to say that only the ignorant people who don't have knowledge do this. But due to the fact that there are weak hadiths, if I see someone wiping his face, I would not say, Akhi, fear Allah, don't do this. I would leave him alone. Would I ever do it or recommend anyone to do it? Definitely not. Sania says, I heard we should make dua in sujood and before salam. So do I need to recite Fatiha and Darood in the beginning and the end? If I don't, then my dua won't be accepted. Sania's question about making dua in sujood and before salam. First of all, generally speaking, I'm sitting in my room, I'm not doing anything. All of a sudden, I want to make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, to guide my children to abide by Islam and guide my daughters to abide by hijab. What to do? There are etiquettes. Now, this is a general dua. The etiquette is to raise my hands and to praise Allah Azza wa Jal. Allahumma lakal hamdu hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi. And to offer salutation, what is known as Darood in Urdu. So I say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallayta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. Because the Prophet said, alayhi salatu salam, dua is blocked between heaven and the earth until you offer salutation upon me. So we have to offer salutation upon the Prophet alayhi salatu salam. And after that, I would say, oh Allah, guide my children to abide by Islam. Oh Allah, guide my daughters to abide by the hijab. And go on. This is the etiquette of dua. Now, when I am in sujood, the Prophet told us that when you're sujood, you are as close as you can be to Allah Azza wa Jal. So, make dua. And he did not tell us praise Allah Azza wa Jal or offer salutation upon the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So we go directly without doing that. And also, before salam, after the salutation, in the last rak'ah, the Prophet says, as-salam, choose whatever dua you wish. So praising Allah Azza wa Jal is not part of the sunnah here. And offering the salutation is not needed because I have just done this a couple of seconds ago. Now, Fatiha is not included at all. She says, Sania, do I need to recite the Fatiha? Fatiha is never recited when making dua, whether generally speaking or when you are in sujood. Not only that, it is prohibited to be recited in sujood. It is prohibited to be recited before the salam, because this is an innovation. And in the sujood, it is prohibited to recite the Quran. Therefore, you are not allowed to do this. You don't have to praise Allah or offer salutation upon the Prophet ﷺ. What happens if I do? During sujood, it's okay. It's a dua. But it is not part of the sunnah to do so, because we were not directed to do so, and Allah